Okie dokie. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 1:01. I'll let people in as they come in. Introductions. I'm going to go around how it is on my screen. And if you guys could just introduce yourselves, let us know what agency you're with. Starting with you, Pam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pam Bush with the County of Door's Transportation Department. Thank you.
Jenny, you are next.
I'm Jenny Fitzgerald, and I'm the director at the ADRC of Door County.
Megan.
I am Megan Welch, and I am from the Door County Medical Center.
Marty Olenichek.
Hi, I'm representing the Community Development Department of the City of Sturgeon Bay.
Cynthia.
Cynthia Germain, do good Door County.
Amy, can you hear us already? We're just doing introductions if you can hear us or not, Amy.
Sorry, what?
No, we're just doing introductions. I looked down and I'm like, I think she's still logging in. But you popped
Hi,
up.
Amy Conley, United Way.
Thank you. Alondra?
Hi. I'm actually in place here today for Mariah, our executive director. So I'm just here to basically take notes and then hopefully if I have any questions, just kind of go off of that. Nice to meet you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Alondra. And Devin.
Hi, Devin Vandertime with Door County Economic Development Corporation.
All righty. And I'm also joined with Bonita from Door-Tran, and I'm Nikki from Door-Tran. I'll be letting people in as they join the meeting, but again, just in an effort to keep us on time, I did want to start the meeting on time. So there are the minutes from the meeting in July. I didn't know if anyone wanted to review those. We haven't been approving them, just kind of a review. So I didn't know if anyone had any questions or comments from that meeting that you wanted to go over that was maybe here from last time. All righty. We'll just file those away. And then I'll go ahead and get started on mine. What I had is re-signing our TRIP member contracts. So bigger voices, bigger numbers give a bigger voice. And quite a few people, when we started this, the Door County Transportation Consortium, it evolved into TRIP back in 2017, 2018. It's just asking for everybody to recommit to this group so that there is representation from your agency every quarter here. And then when things change, such as Mariah taking over at help of Door County, Alondra being able to pinch hit. So if you have not signed that contract, if you're unsure, go ahead and shoot me an email. If you need another copy, I'm happy to send that out. But again, it's I want to be sure that when you're receiving our newsletter that you've agreed to that. If there are changes within your organization, someone steps up and we can update our records on this end. We also do refer to that group when we're writing grants, that this is what we want to try to accomplish as Door-Tran. So if you guys can recommit to that if you haven't already. Unmet transportation needs, of course, again, I hear often from people in other circles saying that, hey, we have these unmet needs, but Door-Tran is not hearing about them, or they're hearing a generalized need. I had someone stop in the office the other day and had a wealth of information. So it's just to really know what is happening in the arena of transportation, what other people are doing, or if there are unmet needs that are still happening or how they're being met, if it's a temporary meeting of that need, just so that we can try to come up with a long-term solution as a collaborative team. And then anyone not at the table who should be, I know I keep this one on there all the time, simply because we want to know that somebody might be new in the area. I've met up with a couple folks in the parking lot out here at the DMV coming up with, hey, I'm going to try this transportation idea or whatever it is. And just being able to get them at the table and knowing again what those options are for the county. So when we are in this space, that everybody's kind of abreast of what is going on. So I want to go ahead and do any updates with providers if you're on here. So I'll go in order of what we have on the agenda. So I think we'll go to Pam first with the public transit door-to-door ride updates.
Hi again, everyone. So the county update, as far as door-to-door rides, we contract that service out. We put out an RFP earlier this summer, had multiple responses, which was wonderful. Last several go-arounds, they only had single source bidding, so it was nice to have a couple of responses. The intent to award was given to Abby Vans, who is our current provider for door-to-door. So I'm in the process of finalizing that contract at this time. The contract will be for 25 and 26 with an additional 3-year renewals as an option. The other thing is, thank you, Nikki, for sending out the public hearing information. The public hearing is happening at 9 a.m. at the Government Center on Tuesday. That is a requirement for our state 8521 grant, which primarily funds our Door County Connect bus and van service, and then also supports Door-Tran's veteran volunteer program. So that public hearing is happening on Tuesday. If you've got any comments that you want to make, you can certainly attend that meeting in person to verbalize comments. Otherwise, written comments are due by noon on Monday. So whether you've got concerns, compliments, or support for the program, I think it's important that that's shown to the administrative committee and county board members. So if you don't have concerns, but you just want to give a shout out of your support for the county transportation, that goes a long ways. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for that update, Pam.
Can I ask a question, Pam?
Go ahead, Marty.
With the new contract, will there be any service changes from the current contract for the door-to-door rides?
Yep. So we initially had looked at possibly pulling a van off here and there. The bids came in. We were projecting a 40% increase. Luckily, it's only about a 25% increase, which is still very significant, almost doubling the tax levy. So there again, support letters are always important to let people know transportation's on their radar. But really, the goal was to not reduce service. We're already over capacity at this time with both systems. Declined rides are becoming larger and larger all the time. So reducing hours is not an option at this point. Excuse me. And our budget did go through the administrative committee as is. So at this point in time, I don't see any increase of fares or hour changes or anything. So it should be status quo. I am working with our vendor on shortening the 30-minute pickup window. I'm hoping to get that down to a 20-minute window. So we're not getting people to work a half hour early and things like that. So that would be the only thing, which would be a plus.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess everybody that's on here today, if you can, within your circles, if we can go ahead and Cynthia's asking, is there particular talking points for the letter, Pam, for in support of that system? Is there an example that you might have, or just asking you guys on this call and in your circles to get a letter out in support of that system?
Yeah, even a simple email to me, just saying that you really support the transportation services in Door County. Our ridership is primarily elderly and disabled, but we've got a number of adults that are low income and students using the service as well. So I think, in Cynthia's example, certainly, gosh, I'm losing my voice. The Aging Coalition does a lot with agings, perhaps mentioning the importance of transportation to keep people mobile in our community. So just a real simple email, help of Door County. You guys use door-to-door tickets quite often. I think you purchase a lot of them anyway. So I see that on my end, just talking about the value of what the transportation does for your circles that you work with.
Go ahead, Alondra. Did you still have a question or did she address that?
Yeah, I do have a question. So I'm actually quite like newer to the area, I guess you could say. I was living in Appleton. So we had a lot of like resources for transportation, I guess you could say, like Vail. Is that something, because I don't hear it since I've moved over here. Is that not a thing over here for people that are more lower income?
For the medical transportation, it's called non-emergency medical transportation. Veo was the provider. They were bought out by MTM, and now we're strictly hearing MTM again as the broker that DHS hires to provide non-emergency medical transportation to folks on Badger Care and Medicaid, Badger Care Plus and Medicaid. That is just for medical transports. That does not include anything going to the grocery store, any social activities or anything like that. So that's why we pull this group together too. And I can give you updates coming through from Door-Tran as far as what we do. But the public transit, that can go anywhere within Door County except Washington Island. They do not have a presence on there, but they do pick up at the ferry. And they can go all the way throughout the entire county. There is a map online, and they have brochures of their service area and their hours, because some of it is not available maybe evenings and weekends, and maybe far northern door, southern door, far southern door. So if you have any questions, Pam's a good resource for the public transit. And then Door-Tran, we kind of fill in the gaps and complement that public transit system, trying not to duplicate what door-to-door has here, because we do realize the importance of that service. However, because it has become so incredibly busy, we have taken some of the rides even within Door County, because that's just a little more convenient with that half-hour pickup window, or if there's just special circumstances. So for folks, it's not a huge number, but primarily we are going to coordinate and collaborate with the partners and push to have people use that public transit system. I think it's important for everybody to know that, to support that system. Even though it is busy, just to know that it exists, because if it starts becoming something that people aren't supporting, then maybe they don't want to support, other folks might not support it. So I think it's just important that we all give them our kudos and give them our support. Door-Tran runs several programs. We can go across county lines. So we have half-price taxi vouchers that we use within the private taxis. We hire the client hires the private taxis. We sell them vouchers. If the fare is $100, we sell the voucher to the client for $50. They submit it to that transportation provider. The transportation provider in turn invoices Door-Tran for 95% of that trip. So we get to keep 5%. And then they're accepting those vouchers. So that's really nice, kind of extending credit to Door-Tran. And it's a good partnership, so that if they're missing out on any of that public transit type of rides, that they're getting other rides filtering into their system. They're very busy too, so no one was complaining on our end like, oh, the public transit takes away from the private taxis. Not at all. There's plenty of transportation to go around to all of them. They have at Door-Tran, we have a couple of volunteer driver transportation programs. Pam touched on the veteran volunteer transportation. That is to get our veterans out of Door County for their medical appointments. So that pretty much goes primarily to Green Bay, but we can go as far as the veteran may need to travel. We've gone as far as Toma in one circumstance, down to Milwaukee. So it does go quite a distance, and that's a partnership between Door County Transportation Department, Pam, and then the County Veterans Service Office approves those veterans, and they pay the fuel on that vehicle. And then we are doing all the vetting of the drivers, the background checks, the training, the orientation, and then we're scheduling all the riders. We're getting them all registered with us and coordinating those transports. And then we have a countywide volunteer transportation program that is for the general population, the general public. Fare is based on household income, anywhere from 10 cents to 40 cents per mile. The majority of the people that we are transporting are elderly and disabled. You have to be ambulatory in order to use that. It is using a private vehicle, a personal vehicle. Our volunteers graciously use their vehicles and get mileage reimbursement and meal and cell phone reimbursement if they're driving on behalf of Door-Tran. That system goes between Door, Kewaunee, and Brown County. And then if it's medically related, and it falls within our 8 to 5 Monday through Friday parameters, we can go across county, beyond Brown County, even if and we've gone, I think, to Milwaukee and Appleton. One got released from Madison too. We had to do a trip from Watertown, somewhere down there. If it's medically and we can find a driver, it comes from the same pot of money as our half-price taxi vouchers, and it's usually significantly less expensive by using a volunteer driver and reimbursing them the mileage versus paying a private taxi. So it was our bottom line that came into consideration for medical transports only. Again, we're not going to do weekends, nights. We're not going to go to Mayo Clinic, but certainly if something else does fall a little bit beyond those boundaries, we can do that. We also have a repair and purchase loan program for vehicles tied to employment transportation. We can loan up to $5,000 to someone who is working at least 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month, or someone who is looking to better themselves. They're working maybe with DVR on additional education, working with NWTC in their Invest Dream Achieve program, that they vetted them, and then we can go ahead and approve them that this is a good bet that we'll get paid back. We do a budget. It is no interest. And we can, again, go up to $5,000 for purchase, up to $750 for repair. That is funded through a program called WETAP, Wisconsin Employment Transportation Assistance Program, which is why it needs to be tied to employment. And then the client just pays us back. We ask for 18 months on a repair and then up to 24 months on a purchase. And we just work with the client. It's nice because if they have other extenuating circumstances that come up, we're a little more flexible than a traditional bank loan, whereas there's no fees associated with it. We're not going to penalize them. We might defer a payment for a month or two if they have some additional car repairs or something that happens on their budget, missed some work, kids were sick, they were sick, so that they can keep afloat and keep their other bills paid and on time. We also have a repair grant program for vehicles. This is for folks who are on a fixed income. Basically, Social Security is where we find the majority of the folks who are utilizing that program. We do inspections on those vehicles, that not us personally, but we do ask that they be inspected and that we do a blue book to make sure that the car is worth repairing. So that we're not sticking money into, gifts that people have given Door-Tran to gift out to these folks, that it's not just going to be wasted. Of course, there's no guarantee on that, but we can certainly hope. And then Door-Tran also does a lot of advocating for that non-emergency medical transportation program. There's quite a few people who experience a lot of issues with that. So I sit on, it's called the Transportation Advisory Council, and we meet quarterly to try to resolve some of those issues that are happening across the state. We know it's a system that needs some tweaking. For the trips that do go through, it's pretty flawless, but there are still other folks that are not getting their transports, that it's very important that they do. So we always tell people if it's transportation related, please keep Door-Tran in mind and let our staff help you find the best transportation option. It's going to probably look different from household to household because we're going to ask that series of questions. Do you have Medicaid? Are you a veteran or have you served in the military? So staff here is just prepared. We're here Monday through Friday from 8 until 4. Help has, I'm not sure if you're aware of that, Alondra, after hours vouchers. So if somebody comes to your office and needs to get down to, say, a shelter out of the area, someplace, maybe to the airport, we've done that you have to hire a private taxi. There are vouchers, should be at help. And if you need some assistance with that, holler. But that they can give them to the taxi provider and we'll run them through our half-price taxi program. So that does exist. We also have that same partnership with the hospital for after hours, with the jail for after hours, although those are not utilized very often at all anymore. And we have a partnership with Washington Island Community Health Program for folks that are coming over for physician-ordered therapies and treatments that we can help offset their trips on the ferry, both for the vehicle and the person. It's a collaboration between YCHIP, Door Cancer, and Door County Door-Tran. So that's kind of our services in a nutshell. There has been no changes on those services. We have applied for funding for 2025 for the vouchers and the volunteer program. We have, we're sitting on the WeTap grant currently and hope to receive those then going into 2025. I have no reason to believe we won't get them. However, they are competitive grants. So we hope to be able to continue our services as they are. I talked about non-emergency medical on here. I don't see Louise. I haven't heard what might be going on in Northern Door County. I emailed Justin Hartle yesterday to see what was going on at Sunshine Resources because Jeremy's on holiday, as they say. So I don't know what's going on over there. Christine could not be here today. She emailed me. Ellen is also out of the country. Ty emailed and said in the the third quarter, they provided 82 transports with the Washington Island community van. Private taxi providers, I don't see anyone on here. I spoke with, what's his name is? I want to say his name is Michael. Jeff. I was thinking of Michael from Express. Michael from Door County Personal Drivers, and he said they've been really, really busy up there. They took over, he purchased the business a year ago from Ron and Cindy Lawrence, and they are doing, they have 4 ambulatory vans and they're all ambulatory, no wheelchair accessibility. And he's got 4 buses that they transport people throughout the county safely. And it started out as pretty much like the bar crowd. But he said it's quickly kind of evolved. Ron and Cindy would go all night long doing transports. That was kind of their thing. And he said they've kind of pulled away from that. So I'm not sure what's happening with the bar scene up north. I know that the Tavern League does pick up some of those and they'll hire private taxis. So I don't know if they're doing something additional up there. I haven't heard. I did hear from Ellie Soderberg this morning, Guger, from Sturgeon Bay or Sister Bay Advancement Association. And she said they're back on the road. She's said it's mostly 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, Saturday up in Sister Bay with their shuttle bus. However, she's been out on an abbreviated maternity leave, so she's a little behind. She had a baby in the beginning of September, so she does not have those numbers to me. And then I don't know, I would guess I'll just open it up. Is there anyone that wants to or needs to talk about anything transportation, provider updates, service updates that are not on the listing here? something that you might be hearing in your circles.
So Nikki, when Alondra brought up NEMT, it made me think, earlier today, I seen a van dropping off at the rehab department, and it's stickers on the side just said NEMT. So I'm wondering if you're familiar with a new provider, or perhaps this is a day where another provider from another area is maybe helping out or something, but I had never seen that vehicle before.
I saw one and I tried to spin around and grab a number. If I do see them up here, I try to track them down and just place a call to them and say, hey, are you doing non-emergency or are you a new provider? But I did just see it was like just a plain white van with just
Yeah.
NEMT on it. Probably about 10 days ago, I saw that. And I'm thinking probably from another community. I'm not aware of anyone that just strictly serves, except from Island Hopper, Steve and Karen, and I don't even know how much they're doing. I haven't been in touch with them at all. But I know when I was in a meeting probably about a year ago, one of the gentlemen in the meeting, I asked how many providers were in Door County, and they said 9. And I said, it can't be 9. So I said maybe 9 service Door County. But as far as I know, it's just Door County Island Hopper that resides in Door County. I've talked to other providers, specifically Choice Mobility, and he cannot get through to them to try to, he's also very busy, to try to get a contract with them. And if it's anything like an actual medical reimbursement, I know they're probably not highly desirable contracts. They also do hire independent drivers for that program and reimburse them. So perhaps it's some independent drivers that we might not even realize are on the road providing that service, that it's just a paid staff, almost like an Uber or a Lyft, I think. So I don't know anyone that provides it over and above Steve and Karen.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions on what we went over so far, or anything that anyone else is working on? I know Devin, I had asked, I don't know, Michelle and I had met earlier this year or the end of last year, and they were working on a survey, but then she said not much came out from that survey with regards to transportation. Do you know anything about that, Devin?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm actually in the car right now.
Okay.
But so I am aware of the survey and I can share the information we gained from you. I wouldn't say that transportation wasn't an issue at all from that survey, but other issues ranked higher, essentially, is kind of what we found. So housing, childcare, and retirement were more workforce concerns than transportation, and that was kind of our focus, was workforce. So that's kind of the high level overview. It's not that transportation wasn't a challenge, it was just that others ranked higher.
I'm just gonna add, oh, go ahead, Pam.
That's really interesting because our number of work trips are up, and that's actually the primary trip type that we have for both Door County Connect and door-to-door rides. So perhaps it didn't come up because a lot more employees are solving their transportation issues by using public transit. So I find that very interesting.
I'll acknowledge too, there were other findings from that we were kind of like, this isn't exactly what we were expecting. So we're curious if we did more of like a resident survey or an employee survey, if we would get more information, because to your point, maybe employers aren't aware that employees are experiencing these challenges or they're solving it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to jump in there. So I'm working with Devin, Michelle at DCEDC, and then folks over at Destination Door County on a resident survey. So for those of you who've been around a while, like we used to do, like 15, 18 years ago, but kind of drilling into those, like more, what are your household needs? So Nikki or Pam, if you have suggestions for transportation related questions, if you can fire those over to Devin or I, and we can see how we can include those in that survey.
I'm really glad. I will definitely shoot something over. Something that we've noticed is transportation a lot of times comes up, and I think Cynthia, we noticed this 2 years ago on the Do Good Door County survey. It came up, but some of it was just unaware of the services that were there. And I think we've done a really good job to promote those services, but we need to be able to sustain those services. So really showing people the importance of it. So again, I'm going to go back to sending letters to Pam in support of the public transit system, because if they're not coming up as issues, that's great. Kudos to those that were in this room that solved those early on and continue to work diligently to keep those programs working. That means it's working, but the minute we stop working on that, it's going to become an unmet need again. So I like to hear in a group this size that there's not a lot of unmet needs, or we're not hearing about them, that people are figuring it out, or that there are programs that exist. So back to Pam, send some letters her way, make sure that we're supporting that system. And all transportation, truly. So I appreciate that. Are we hearing then? I know Jenny, you had a handful of them too on the aging survey, on the aging plan for the county. Anything specific that stands out to you that maybe should be on the table? Or is it again just word of mouth? We need to just connect people to the resources that exist.
I think part of it's the word of mouth,
Okay.
connecting people.
Okay. So anyone else with any unmet needs that we should be kind of working on, looking at? I know the Destination Door County, they talked about the draft updates in the July meeting, knowing that, you know, some of that was going to be enhanced, but I think just such a short little stint. Many people, I think, are doing, he was saying, lodging and transportation together. They were going to have designated shuttle areas for the buses and things that were going to be dropping people off in that area of the draft. So I don't know that that's something this group needs to address. I think it's being addressed, but certainly if anybody hears of anything or knows of resources that are helping with that, to, you know, point them over to Destination Door County, or even Door-Tran, we're happy to, you know, take some of that information. Our next meeting then is scheduled for January 8th, 1 o'clock Zoom, because we know what those winter weather can bring. If there's not anything else, I'm gonna look to adjourn the meeting.
Thanks, Nikki.
All righty, thanks, everybody. We'll see you in 3 months. Happy
Thank you,
holidays.
everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.